Okay, so Andrew, could you introduce yourself? I believe you have a couple 10 years plus experience in marketing, and could you just introduce yourself and tell us, how it's been going for you?
Hey everybody. Thanks for having me. Yeah, the quick version, I suppose, is I'm a digital video executive. So I've been working full time as a YouTuber, live streamer, and then eventually co-founded the largest gaming video network ever, TGN.
Oh,
And
wow.
over the last 10 years, I've produced thousands of videos that have gotten billions of views, gaming videos. And I just love this space. And I've kind of dedicated my entire career to helping gaming content creators succeed. And I coach the biggest creators in the world to the smallest guys in the world. And now I'm head of video for Illuvium, which is a upcoming AAA crypto game. And I'm actually running influencer marketing and video production for Illuvium. So I always like to be on the cutting edge of what's happening in gaming, what's the cutting edge of what's happening in video and technology, because I freaking love it, man.
Mm.
So like I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Well,
So that's my background.
when you
Yeah.
say that you help other influencers, could you like give me a little bit more? Could you elaborate on that? How exactly do you help influencers? Could you expound on that?
Yeah, sure. So, a couple different capacities. So, I built a media business. It's now a publicly traded company called Broadband TV on the
Ah,
Toronto Stock Exchange. And they acquired TGN, the network I co founded. And through that network, we provided services to content creators from hiring them to do editing, writing, hosting, esports events. We did it all over the
wow.
course of like 8 years while I'm there.
Funny thing you mentioned that because actually broadband TV was the first platform I got on when I became a YouTuber back in like 2015 to 2016, around there. So that's really awesome. Like we just converged on each other here. So it's good to be
It
working
just
with you.
happened.
So okay, let's just get into some really interesting stuff that you talked about in our dialogue before. You said that we were talking about Web 2. Uh, my understanding, let me just give my understanding of Web 3. It's basically introducing monetization and decentralization of the web so that blockchain is more it's more blockchain friendly. Uh, do I have that correct? Can you expand on that? What do you think is going to happen with Web 3, and how is this compared to Web 2, how we are right now? It's just really interesting stuff what's going to be happening.
Yeah, so the honest answer is nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, of course. But here's the way I'm looking at it. So you and I came up on YouTube and we came up as streamers and creators during the 2010s. And the 2010s were the decade of Web 2. So just a quick review for everybody. Web 1 was the version of the internet where you put in a CD-ROM into your computer and you could just play some content and look at some content on the internet, but you couldn't really interact with it. Then we moved into Web 2 in the 2010s, where things like YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, etc., allowed us to interact with the internet, allowed us to upload our own content to the internet, and then eventually do things like this, right? Do interviews and have this more interactive experience. Moving into the 2020s now, Web 3, the ways that that's going to change technology is obviously integrating blockchain as part of it. But the big shift here is a move from centralization to decentralization. That's theme number one. And then the second big shift is moving from you owning none of the internet to you owning all of the internet moving forward. So those are the two big changes that are happening here in Web3. So what do I mean? So theme number one is centralization. So right now on YouTube, Google owns everything on YouTube. You maybe get a cut of revenue, but you don't own anything. Uh, Twitch, another example. Amazon owns that. You don't own any of Twitch.
Hmm.
Name all the other social media platforms that you're uploading content on. You don't own it at all. At best, you could go buy stock to own maybe a part of those companies, right?
Mhm.
Well, with Web3, you'll actually be able to buy maybe Ethereum or Solana or Bitcoin or Illuvium or whatever it is as a crypto. And then you'll actually literally own the underlying technology underneath the internet if you buy one of these layer one protocols in particular. And so that's a huge shift. Imagine back in the early 2000s or in the 1990s being able to literally buy a share of the actual internet itself.
Mhm.
That's what buying Bitcoin or buying Ethereum or what buying Solana and these things are like right now. And so that's a huge shift where you can actually own the internet. The
Right.
part that's relevant to gamers, of course, is things like NFTs in video games, where, instead of owning literally nothing in Fortnite, for example, in Web3 version of video games, you'll be able to own everything in the video game, from the guns to your skins to your vehicles to everything in the game will literally be your property, rather than the current version Web2 video games that we're playing right now, like Fortnite. Epic, for example, still owns everything in Fortnite, and you just paid them money to be able to use it temporarily. So the shift in ownership and the shift in centralization is going to be the huge shift here. Everything's centralized on Facebook, on YouTube, on Google, on Amazon, on all of these major companies. And now all of that processing power, all of those servers, all of that computing is now becoming decentralized on people's different mining rigs across the world. And the organizations are becoming decentralized and becoming DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations,
Right.
to where the traditional model of a big tech monolith in California running an entire platform and owning everything is going to turn into millions of people owning a little bit of the network and a little bit of an ecosystem. And that's going to completely disrupt everything that we're currently using right now. It's going to look totally different 10 years from now.
Right. So thank you for expanding on that. Really, I have just that topic alone is so interesting. We could spend the whole video just talking about that stuff. And really, I think that with Web3, even just cryptocurrency, that's going to be the currency of the web, right? We're going to have companies making their own coins and everything. So that's going to be the currency of the web. And yeah, that is true. Like big tech is making tons of profit off of people's information. I wanted to talk about, like, could you talk about, like, how do you feel YouTube and Twitch and everything will change? You did talk about NFTs and stuff, but really, I heard an interview where I think it was Aaron was talking about you guys are going to do something like 50 million prize pool for like, this is like the most they've ever done in any esports. That is something incredible. To think that illuvium and illuvium itself is going to be making so much money to give back to the community like that. This is unheard of. All these companies, they just pocket everything, and maybe they make another game in the future, but really, that is something incredible. So how do you think the Twitch and YouTube space is going to change for the influencers?
For influencers, yeah, you covered a lot of topics there, from esports to influencers. I think it all ties together. So I think YouTube and Twitch will continue to be relevant here in the 2020s in the same way that TV is still relevant today. People still watch TV. People still go to the traditional movie theater. People still listen to the radio. They do. They just do so in a decreasing kind of a pattern over time. And so it will take platforms like YouTube and Twitch and Facebook a significant amount of time to fall out of relevance. So now that they're at the top of the pyramid, let's say over the course of the next 20 years, they'll fall out of relevance as new technology and as new experiences replace them. And so for influencers, what I encourage influencers to do, and I always have, is to be as multi-platform as possible. Do not rely on the revenue of one platform. Try to have at least 3 major revenue sources that you're focusing on to support you and to support your business, and have at least 3 major platforms that you're relying on at any given time, because this Web3 shift that's happening is going to disrupt all of these platforms and is likely going to put almost all of them out of business, maybe not instantly, but certainly over time and over the course of the next 20 years. Now, I know that's hard to imagine, and a lot of people watching this are like, yeah, right, that's impossible. Well, guess what? That's exactly what everybody told me when I quit my job in 2009 and I started working on YouTube, is they told me TV would never decline. They told me the movies and print and all of that would still be king no matter what, and this new YouTube thing was a joke and it was just for cat videos. But here we are 10 years later. And so when you see the writing on the wall, never bet against new technology, never bet against innovation. So for all of the influencers out there and all of the YouTubers out there, bet on this innovation taking over and disrupting. And make sure that you understand it today. Make sure that you're getting educated on it today. Make sure that you're participating in it today. And when you see opportunities to jump in there and to maybe make investments or to maybe create content about it or to try out new decentralized platforms, do it. Don't listen to the people that laugh it off and call it a joke. When I became one of the first Twitch partners, I was one of the first 1,000 Twitch partners. I was literally told by my close friends, that's not a real job. That is, you are a complete joke, that you play games on Twitch for a living. At that time, I was streaming full time for a living. Now, fast forward to today, you literally can go to the bookstore and there are literally books written by Twitch streamers on how to become a full-time career Twitch streamer in a traditional bookstore.
Right.
That's how traditional it is and established it is. So you want to be early on these trends. You want to get in before everybody else does. And those are the people that benefit the most. Think about it. The people that got on YouTube early, the people that got on Twitch early, the people that got on Twitter the earliest are the ones that grew the fastest, made the most money, and built the biggest media companies as an influencer and as a creator. The same thing is going to be the case here with Web3. So you need to keep your eye on the illuviums of the world. Sandbox, Decentraland, Star Atlas, these big AAA, really legit projects coming up in gaming and in crypto and in metaverse. And stay on top of those and get in the opportunities that interest you so you don't get left behind. Don't let what happened in Web 2 to you happen to you in Web 3. Like get in there early. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
All
let
these
Web
struggling
2 happen
streamers.
to you.
Don't let Web 2 happen to you.
Yes.
All these struggling streamers, 99% of them are never going to make enough money today to ever make a living.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they were smart and they started going after Web3 opportunities, decentralized stuff, blockchain stuff, crypto stuff today, and they were early, they could be one of those 1% early adopters that takes advantage and gets in there and actually gets to make a living full time because they're at the right place at the right time. So that's what I'm encouraging influencers that have already made it in Web 2 to start moving to Web 3 now. Don't wait 5 years from now when it's already mainstream. If you do it today, that's where the maximum benefit can occur.
Yes, and I actually completely agree with you.
Let me address what you were talking about a moment ago with esports and the
Yeah.
big tournaments and everything.
Yeah.
Because what you said earlier, people don't understand maybe off the cuff what you're talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, Illuvium, it has a open world collectible half of the game, and then the other half of the game is an auto battler like team fight tactics. And so, as you can imagine, with auto battlers, there's infinity deep strategies involved. And so, yes, as a part of our white paper for Illuvium, we have outlined that we're going to have the biggest esports prize pool ever as a part of this project. But like, how is that possible, right? How could, maybe you haven't even heard of Illuvium, right? How you guys have enough money for that? Who are the investors? Well, the investors are retail. They're everyday average people that have invested their money into ILV token and into the project. And so when we are in the future, when we're going to do esports events like this, it's funded democratically, if you will. It's funded by the people. It's not funded by some megacorp or some investor. And that's where the liquidity is coming from for us to do these big esports events. And so we aren't going to be launching with esports. We're going to obviously launch the game as it is, tweak it in, make sure that it's perfection, let competitive develop, and then obviously build up to, an esports level where we have the biggest prize pool out there. And what's really, really interesting is we have our land sale coming up here in January. And as a part of that land sale, you can buy digital land in Illuvium. And our tier 5 land, you can actually, if you buy the tier 5 land, and we're anticipating it's going to go for millions per piece, the esports events potentially will be on that land, that digital land that you buy. And you'll get a revenue share of the esports events on that particular land, which will be this new revolutionary thing that nobody's ever done before. And that's all pending our council approving that. So just like imagine, I started out on YouTube like casting StarCraft 2 esports, and I was like one of these early shoutcasters. I could it's like a space age fantasy to think about what if StarCraft was in the metaverse and I was able to buy a piece of digital land and these StarCraft esports events were literally in this virtual space. I could go as like a virtual person and go attend and go cheer on the teams and stuff. Like it just seems like this fantasy dream scenario from 10 years ago me. But this is all really happening now. This whole metaverse thing is playing out right before our eyes. And that's why I joined Illuvium, is because they're basically the most ambitious project in the space, not just talking about doing these big things in gaming, they're literally doing it. And so that's, for me, that's the most exciting thing here, is that this is pushing the envelope. This isn't the standard esports tournament you see on Twitch that's sponsored by the corporate sponsors and has the standard package that you've seen season after season. This is taking it to a whole nother level, making it this more immersive experience. And the craziest thing is that the players, the viewers, the fans literally own all of it and earn all of the profit from it. Rather than like if you watch Fortnite esports right now, Epic Games gets all the profit from it, and the sponsors and the advertisers get all the profit from it, and you get jack unless you're one of the players. And so that's what's so exciting to me about this is no matter who you are, you can buy just a little piece of whatever brand or intellectual property you really are passionate about in the future with this metaverse future and this Web3 future. And it's going to make it so that that prosperity, that wealth, and that opportunity is available to everyone. That's just so fantastic to me.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
so excited that we're at this place.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's so new right now, and there's so much potential with this, and it's so new. I just tried telling people, hey, like, what do you think about investing in some digital land? They think you're crazy, but really, this is going to be something so amazing, like to just invest. It's like almost like real estate, almost. But could you tell me? So I'm still trying to figure out Illuvium Zero. Is this just like us building our upgrades in there, or is that the land that we're going to be earning from over there? Is it going to expand to something else, or is it just going to be like, a builder? Because I'm hoping actually it'll turn into something like a Reign of Chaos, like Warcraft, where you could actually venture out and maybe collect some stuff. I don't know what they're going to do, but I would think, if a lot of people don't have PCs and they only have mobile, they would want to expand the game a little bit. So where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah, I've got a really clear answer to that. So we have Illuvium Zero, which is our mobile game. And that particular game is what you use to develop and harvest the digital land that you can buy in our land sale. And this is a free to play game. If you do the free to play version of it, you'll get tier 0 land, and you won't get any thing from the land that's worth any money. But if you buy tier 1 land, tier 2, 3, 4, or 5 land, you'll be able to literally pull up your phone and click the buttons and build your own virtual industrial complex in our builder game, harvest fuel in the game, scan for alluvials, and the resources that you mine in our mobile game ports over to our main game. And so the fuel that you earn in Illuvium Zero on your land, your digital land you buy, you can either sell it on our Illuvidex to other players who need the fuel to play the main game, or you can use the fuel in the main game yourself to do your own activities and to go try to catch more alluvials. Also, when you scan for blueprints in Illuvium Zero, that can help you get skins for your weapons and what have you for your armor, etc. That you could either, for example, sell on the Illuvidex for cash or bring into the main game. So the mobile game. So when you buy digital land, you basically plug it into our mobile game, click buttons, and literally make money on this mobile
Yeah,
game,
pretty much.
or use the resources in our main game. Then in our main game, that's where you're going to be exploring our overworld, where you're going to be harvesting more resources, and then you're going to be catching our alluvials, which are basically like our Pokemon, if you will, and then battling them in the auto battler, either PvE, PvP. We have ranked mode, and then we also will have like a degenerate gambler mode as well. It's not called that, but a mode where you can literally wager Ethereum versus other players. So that's how it's connected. Digital land on the mobile game into the main game, and that's the sort of connection there. So by purchasing this digital land, it immediately has utility where you can use it for something very specific. As opposed to buying some land in like the Sandbox or Decentraland, for example, where you need to like develop something on that land and like figure out what you're going to do on it and like come up with a concept. If you buy Illuvium land, you literally just plug it into our mobile game, and then you're just doing like a builder game on your mobile phone and getting fuel, which is worth real money because other players are going to want to buy it. So that it kind of makes it like a easy entry point into buying digital land because we already know exactly what the utility of that land is. We already know what players are going to use it for and how it fits into our overall economy, as opposed to other types of land where the sell is like, maybe one day you can do something useful with the land, I guess. If it keeps going up in value, you figure it out. Illuvium has a very clear and narrow path for what land is used for.
Right. And so you did touch on like you did touch on diversifying your portfolio, but Illuvium also has something of a currency of its own, right? We're using ILV and SILV. Could you talk more about these, in-game currencies that we're going to be having, and what would you say is a good amount for players to have? Because really, I feel, and even a lot of people in the Discord feel that you could be a millionaire. Illuvium will make a couple millionaires if you hold, the ILV and, accumulate the coin. So where do you, and even a side thing, where do you see the SILV going?
All right, so the TLDR version about investing in crypto, obviously it depends on how much risk you want to take. If you're a 20-year-old, you're going to take a lot more risk than me. If you're a 65-year-old, you're probably going to take a lot less risk than me. So in general, you're going to want to determine what your goals are and then kind of move forward accordingly. Personally, I'm in the middle of the spectrum. So I've made a bit of a speculative play on ILV, SILV, our liquidity token, and then I'm also making a speculative play on our digital land, but I'm going with a lower tier digital land. I'm not personally going all in because I can't. I literally have a family that I'm counting on, and I can't do some super speculative crypto gaming play and bet the farm on that. That's just me personally.
Yeah. The whole thing with the APY is really attractive to me. I think I've already gotten back, double of what I put in. It's really awesome that they're doing this. But could I ask, what do you think? I know this is speculative, but what do you think would be the average earnings if we're doing like a PVE for like an average player that wants to buy into, becoming a full-fledged player and not just doing, the tier 0 stuff. They actually want to get into the game and start earning. What do you think could be the earnings? I know this is speculative, but still it's just interesting to talk about. Would it be something akin to Axie Infinity? Or would it be, like earning the same amount as you would if you have a helium miner? What do you think is going to be?
Yeah, so here's what I do know about that. So all the numbers in terms of the game and what everything's going to yield are currently in development and being changed every day. So for me to say it's going to be an average of whatever dollar amount, that would be just completely bogus. Like we're about to move into our first private beta for Illuvium. And so for me to say that I know what that number is would just literally be a lie because I don't. But here's what I do know. So we've been very clear that free-to-play players in Illuvium are not going to be able to make an insane amount of money in our game. That is something we've been very, very clear about, and we're not going to mislead anyone on that. What you can do as a free-to-play player is you would be able to play the entire mobile game, but the mobile game Illuvium Zero is not going to yield you anything that's worth any money. You will be able to play our main game and do everything in the main game, but you will be able to get like tier 0 alluvials, I believe is what we're classifying it. And those are worth money, free to play. And so if you get in early on Illuvium as a free to play player and you get a bunch of those tier 0 alluvials, and then you grind and you level them up and you just level them up by battling them in our auto battler, then with those tier 0 alluvials, you can put them on the Alluvidex if you choose, and those will be worth some real amount of money to a lot of whales and a lot of players that want to get in early and don't want to go through the grind that you went through. Because everyone is going to have to go through the same grind at the beginning of the game, no matter what. And so as a free-to-play player, you can do that grind for these whales and for these people that want to just buy past that initial phase and just buy their team. And that is a way you can make real money. And you could go from tier 0 there, then up to tier 1 by earning enough money on the Alluvidex, farming the tier 0s to get your way up. Is that slower than just blowing some, SILV to move your way up? Of course, it's slower. And of course, it's going to be more time. It's time and it's money. And you have to decide which one you're going to trade to get the most yield. In terms of how much money an individual person can make playing the game, it's going to depend how quickly you progress through the game in comparison to everyone else, just like in any economy. So, for example, if you're one of the top players in Illuvium who's breaking through and catching alluvials for the first time before everybody else and leveling them up faster than most other people, then you're going to be you're going to the alluvials that you catch, if you decide to sell them, will be most valuable because they're the most rare, because you're one of the only people that's collected them early ahead of everyone else. Just like in any other economy, right? And just like in any economy in the real world. If you're collecting resources, or you have some sort of technology, or you have some sort of business where there's a low supply, but there's a high demand, if you have those items early, you're going to get the most economic benefit. So the idea here is whoever's at the front of the curve in illuvium at any given time will get the most economic benefit from illuvium. That's just the bottom line.
Right.
And so where that curve is at, how much money you have to spend to be at the front of the pack, and how much buying things like land and harvesting those will push you forward in your progression, I don't have a specific answer other than to say, probably the more money you spend, the faster you're going to be able to get up toward the front, right?
Right.
But I have talked with people, and this is interesting. One guy in particular was completely anonymous, and he's planning on no-lifing this thing with like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And he's not insanely rich, right? Or he or she, I don't even know where they are, who they are. But they're planning on no-lifing at 16 hours a day. So you have to think about it. It's possible that a no-lifer 16 hours a day, let's say that invested, I don't know, $10,000 into illuvium, let's say, I don't know, or 1,000, could go just as fast, maybe, as somebody who invested $1 million but only plays like an hour or two a day. Yeah. It's possible, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers. Don't quote me on that. But you understand what I'm saying? It's a time versus money investment opportunity, similar to mobile games, right? And with mobile games, if you just grind and grind and grind and grind, you 16 hours a day, you might be able to get hundreds of dollars of yield out of that game if you're willing to put in the time, but most people aren't. And that's where they actually make their money, is the pay to accelerate in mobile games. It'll be similar with illuvium, except when money is made in the game, in a mobile game, that company just makes all the profit. The difference here in illuvium is when money is made in the game, then the players make all the profit if they have bought ILV token and they have staked it, which is going to really change how people feel when they spend in the economy. You aren't going to feel, I think a lot of players aren't going to feel as guilty when they spend in illuvium, because when they spend, that profit comes back to them and it comes back to other players, as opposed to when you spend in, like, I don't know, Raid Shadow Legends, you're just like paying that company's VP of marketing more money with his bonus, as opposed to that money coming back to you. And so that dynamic change, I think, is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and I really like the whole way that they've set it up so that it's all coming back to the community. It's really awesome that they're doing that. But I think, in terms of what I'm going to be doing, I think I'm just going to play it safe and do PvE and just grind it that way instead of maybe doing the more risky player versus player. We'll have to see if I match that with people that are at my skill level. But I'm gonna ask you maybe one more question. I'm gonna tie two of them in so that we're kind of pressed with time here. But how do you see the scholarships playing out? Do you have any info on that? And also, maybe the last question is, what do you see with the future of the company, the DAO? Is this going to be like the name of the company, illuvium, or are you guys going to have like an actual name? Because if you guys make other titles, people are going to want to know, like, what is the name of the company? Is it just like illuvium, or where do you see the games going if you guys make other games?
Got it. That makes sense. So the first question, scholarships, and then we'll talk about the DAO part after that. So with scholarships, we plan on having, and we have major plans right now, we'll announce them, to a robust strategy to support guilds who are obviously running scholarship programs. And so we're planning on doing like a industry leading initiative there to support those guilds and to have a basically an industry first program to support that element of the economy. I've already been personally contacted by many investors, many media companies, and corps that are already having deep plans to have like 500 players in their roster playing illuvium, investors bringing money in, having people play for them, the whole scholarship thing. Like, people are planning on going hard here. And so what we're currently doing within the DAO is we're putting together plans to support those guilds in hopefully an industry leading way with a robust program that nobody's ever done before. So we'll be able to announce details on that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we know that that's going to be a huge part of what happens, right? When there is a play to earn game, there's going to be investors that want to put money in. They, like I said earlier, it's time and money, right? They have the money, but they don't have the time. These other people have the time, but they don't have the money. And so obviously guilds connect the gap with those two parties, right? That lack either time or money and make it happen. We understand that. And so we are going to support that deeply as a huge initiative within the marketing team. And I'm within the marketing team here at Illuvium. So that's that. That's the answer to that. Um, the answer to the DAO thing or company thing. So we're not a company, obviously. We are a DAO. And in terms of like, if other games are made in the future, I've asked Kieran about this in internal meetings many times, and Aaron, or like what's beyond this and what have you. So I can tell you that uh, obviously the focus is to get the Illuvium main game and to get Illuvium Zero out and have that be phenomenal. Like we need to deliver on that, and we have the resources to do that right now. But would it be out of the question for us to create other games like with this IP? No, that wouldn't be out of the question. But I don't have the answer on whether we'd be creating a new DAO or we'd be creating a new brand and IP or what that would look like. So I don't have the answer to that because I literally have not looked at a pipeline or anything related to other games or other properties at this time. So right. I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah, this is really awesome times to get into crypto, and I wanted to thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on and sharing your expertise and your knowledge about what we will be seeing with the game Illuvium, and just expanding on the whole crypto, blockchain, Web3 technology coming out is just really awesome. And I hope, that's my hope, my dream is actually that we do bury these big oligarch tech companies like Google and stuff that are just taking all this profit from people. We really want to make, a lot of people have some wealth coming up from a lot of different countries. And I feel like crypto gaming is going to be the pioneers of doing this. So it's just really amazing times to get into crypto and get into NFTs and gaming. So just really awesome talk with you. So thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. Hopefully we can do this again and maybe have more people, ask you questions about this. And hopefully we just have a great relationship going forward with the game and with you. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And related to the release date and how you can keep up to date with that, just join Illuvium's Discord is the best way to keep up to date with that. And we're going to release the game when it's ready. So it's going to come out when it's amazing. And that's the real release date. So we'll keep you guys posted on that on Discord. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.